Thank you, Johan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to talk to you a bit about user research stories from rural areas in the Western Cape. My name is Pretorius. I'm the user experience manager at the Western Cape. And often when I explain to my friends, what I do, I would say I'm in user experience. Obviously no idea. And I say, yes, we make applications useful, usable, desirable. Until I at the end just have to say, I'm trying to make things user-friendly. But I still find my friends, when they introduce me, they say, Marco works for the Democratic Alliance. And I put up posters there in election time. But that's not the case. I work on the administrative side, the Western Cape government. Okay, so the last time that we met at the July UX Craft meetup, we spoke about the institutionalization of UX, the importance of institutionalizing it in our organizations. For example, when we started, I was the only user experience person and often got comments such as, my 12-year-old cousin can design websites, what can you do? And then I showed a few eye tracking presentations, it's a nice value add and gets people excited. And then a few people started calling me the eye tracking guy. So, yeah, we need to, the importance of institutionalizing user experience. You're welcome to have a look there at uxstrategy.co.za. But also, my last presentation is up there on SlideShare. Okay, so then last time we had this whole Game of Thrones theme, and we said UX is coming. I feel like it's an opportunity lost. I've got a normal horse there, not a unicorn. But okay, so UX is coming. Where are we going today? So I'm excited to let you know that we are going on a bit of a road trip. So where are we going? Ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call one of our Cape Access e-centers. I'll explain in just a bit. That is in Disselsdorp near Oudtshoorn. And you can see the car there, the building. It's a real rural area. If I just bring the mouse, the entrance to the Cape Access Center is actually over there. Okay, again, that's not a unicorn. That is a little bokkie in Kwanakotulu, that is near Plettenberg Bay. Bongoletu near Oudtshoorn. And then you can see there, that is Mossel Bay. I'll show you a few more images of that a bit later. But that is basically a container that we have there in the rural area with a few pieces in it. So this Cape Access program of ours, it's basically an initiative that makes ICT, information and communication technology, more accessible to rural and underprivileged communities. And this is throughout the Western Cape. We've got over 40 of these centers. What do we do here? So if you come to a center, you register and you get free use of the computers, access to the internet and email free, and also printing. And then, very importantly, it's a way we try to educate the rural community members about computers, about the internet. So we provide a basic e-learner program, so that's basic computer training. And then we've got the International Computer Driver's License, the ICDL, that's accredited computer training that we offer. And through that then try to get people to access government information, access jobs, business, research information. So to give you a view, there's over 40 of these centers at the moment in the rural areas, and we are expanding every year. Okay, so for our road trip, let's make sure that we are packed. And let's look at what other governments are doing. So if you look at gov.uk, the example of what e-government should be like at the moment, they say that any thinking about a service, whether online or offline, must start with the question, what is the user need? Then the need the user has of government, not the need of government to impart information to the user. Now think about that for a moment. That's easier said than done. That's probably the biggest challenge that we have. For example, if somebody comes with a website request and says, we need this website that shows all the supply chain management rules. Is that really something your normal citizen would use? But have a look at some of the tweets there. With gov.uk, British government redefines the online government platform, certainly so. And from their previous platform where every department, every provincial government, everybody had their own websites, then they moved to this one. And they saved £500 million in the first year. A massive figure. Then, user researchers are involved at all phases of the project and work closely and collaboratively with designers and product owners. So that also ties in with the previous presentation, where your user experience people need to work closely with your developers. Okay, if we look at the United Nations Development Program, they also say to ensure successful e-governance implementation, you need to have an overall citizen people-centered approach. If we look at our user experience team, it's basically we've got 4 blocks that ties up a little circle there. The focus of today's presentation, is the sound right? User-citizen research, the first capability. That moves down into UX architecture, that's our wireframes, sitemaps, prototypes and so forth. The design, our graphical treatment, and then our usability testing. We also have a usability lab at the Western Cape government, the first for a South African government. Okay. So how do we do the user research? I can strongly recommend that you read this book by Steve Portugal, Interviewing Users. And throughout the presentation, I'll show a few of the quotes, but it's very good, a very good book. Then I recently published an article that will be available soon, focus on the citizen user research in the rural areas of the Western Cape. And that basically has the following in it that I want to show to you, a user research methodology. I'm going to run through a few key points. I will make the presentation also available afterwards if you want to see. But a few steps. Step 1, define your goals. Why is the user research being conducted? What will be learned from the user research? And what actions will be taken based on this research? So don't just do this research and go put it there on a shelf somewhere. And then there's a quote there by Smiley, no matter what you learn, you can't go wrong. He says, if you have a certain conviction beforehand, if convictions are wrong, something new is learned that helps to evolve thinking and build a better product. And if convictions are correct, one has more data to back up these convictions. So user research is really a win-win situation. Let's look at our user profile. So second step, determine your user profiles. These are the people that we interviewed and had focus groups with in these sessions. I'll show you more photos so on, but we were in 8 centers. We focused mostly on our Xhosa and Afrikaans components, so 26 Xhosa speakers, 19 Afrikaans speakers. You can see we have quite a big age range from people below 20 up to about 60. And most of the people, how often do you use the internet? There's several hours a day, once a week, once a month. And I'll tell you a bit more about the smartphones. Then plan 3, plan the user research. So who's going to be the facilitator? Important that you have somebody next to the person, the assistants, number of participants. I'm not going to go through everything, but pilot study is important. Rather than asking, or the first interviews you should be doing must be with the stakeholders. That way you can see if your process is correct, and you also get some useful information from the owners, from the stakeholders. And then rather asking people to come to you, go to where they are. So this is exactly what we have done in these sessions. A few tips for running the session. I'm just going to mention there, when you first introduce yourself to the participants, state what you want to learn. State that you are interested in hearing their stories and their experiences. And then a few notes for closing the session. And as I said, that will be available. I'm not going to bore you with all those details. So, to go on to our trip, our first thing is our map or GPS packed. So what I did when I went on the road, I used our website, which has all these little maps, to actually find the places. And then Düsseldorp on our website, for example, looks like this. So that's just to show you how rural area this is. It does not have roads on Google Maps. If you zoom out a bit, that's the closest road, 2 of the regional highways there. So I was a bit lost. So what did our users say? And a few good suggestions. When I phoned now, listen, where is this place? They told me, okay, you see the checkers, go left. You see the big circle, go right. And I was just talking about, that is exactly how we should explain it on the website. Add directions. It's such a simple thing. So that is part of our next phase, to add directions and maybe do our own map or something. Okay, so some of the places we visited. I'm going to take you through that first. Mossel Bay. So to show you some faces, who these people are. And there's a typical setting also for you, so, informal focus group, chatting with the citizens. This is the container I spoke of in Mossel Bay. If you go to Bongoletu, some of the users there and some of the youth here in the corner. And a lot of this, we seek partnerships with other people, so municipalities, libraries, Tucson centers. I'll explain to you in a bit what that is. So you'll often find, for example, a center in a library. And you can see our beautiful floor at the Bongoletu Center. And if you're looking at the kids, the kids often sit 2-2. And it would be the stronger kid explaining to the other kid, how to use something. Robertson, there's a Tucson Center we're partnering with. Swellendam. And you can see this user over here. I'll elaborate in a moment. Also, a blind user that uses our centers. Then Disselsdorp. You can see there, it's just behind the little farm also there. This gentleman here was in a wheelchair. Also a few interesting stories. Kwanakotula. And I want you to notice here at the top, the rural, just opposite the center. And of course, the E-Center is not complete without a Michael Jackson clock. Okay, some of the users there. Riversdale, beautiful church. And then finally, Zolani near Ashton. So you can see the centers also, they're packed with all the kids. Also a partnership with the library and some of our users. So, ladies and gentlemen, dit is dan nou storytyd. I'm very keen to sing the song, but I will stop myself. Okay, so let's look at a few of our users. These are fake names, not the real names. But let's look at Kolani. He has his own cosmetics blog. So he's a Sangoma. And the Cape Access Centres has allowed him to write his own blog. And I'll read from you. He starts his blog with a picture of himself and then a State of the Nation address where he says, Your Excellencies, Her Majesty the Queen of England, Queen Regina of Germany and that of Netherlands, Honourable Presidents. So, and it's this massive text, maybe not the most usable thing, but let's take it one step at a time. So yeah, Cape Access, ladies and gentlemen, provides these opportunities. And I'm going to attempt to play a video for you. If the sound is not too great, I'm going to stop. So this gentleman is going to explain what they do at the Cape Access Centre.
Vacancies, I'm job hunting now. Not job hunting in the line of nursing, but also knowing that I must wait until I'm registered. So I'm just, when I come and Google something, I'll always Google job applications and stuff, bursaries, what can I do in the area, any activities happening here, that's why I come here. I like to be current, so I like when I use the internet to go through the news, check what is happening around the world, in South Africa. I like social networks, so I like communicating social networks like Twitter, like Facebook. Vacancies, I'm job hunting now. Not job hunting in the line of nursing, but also knowing that I must wait until I'm registered. So
okay, the second one.
There is a free access to internet. You get it in the world, like getting free internet. So people, it's a privilege to people like us to get centers like this because it helps us to get more information.
Okay.
And all of that is a free access to internet. You get it.
Where's my mouse?
Getting free internet. So
let's just do that. Okay. So basically the first gentleman said, you know, he comes to the Access Center to find jobs, look for bursaries, Facebook, Twitter, all those sort of things. And the second gentleman saying, you know, what a privilege it is for him. Later on, he also said we should never take it away. He goes there every day. And personally, he's a soccer player, and he goes to find information about training programs, diets, all those sort of things. Okay, so most people come to these e-centers to find jobs. So they would go onto Career Junction, those sort of sites, Western Cape Government Jobs, which is a PNet site, and then they would type their CVs. So most of them, as they come there, they would never have created an email address before. So the Cape Access e-centers managers first need to show them how to create an email address in order to apply for these jobs, and then they would help them type their CV. So each e-center would have their own sort of a template, you know, in a Word file somewhere on the computer. So a few of the lessons we learned here is that we need to provide online CV templates on the website, or refer to at least links who have such templates. And also have one central place where you provide links to all the different jobs websites. If we look at the next person, Pumezu, she is part of a non-profit organization that runs a laundry center, and they create work opportunities for women with HIV in the community. So they use these e-centers to create quotes and invoices so the notice here for us is we need to provide business templates online. For example, provide a little template for an invoice, provide a template you know, for a quote. And what they do as an NPO, they apply for social development grants of the government. So I asked her a bit to explain to me this whole process. How do you apply for a grant? And she mentioned all the walk-ins she needs to do. She needs to go to the Tucson Center. By the way, Tucson Center is a South African or national government initiative where they provide services like, you know, getting an ID book and applying for a grant in the rural areas. So they go to the Tucson centers. Then she has to go to the post office, to the school, to the police station, everything to have things certified and have people sign for things. So it's a lot of walking, a lot of manual processes. And she herself mentioned, why can't we have something online? Why can't she go to the Cape Access Center to do all these things? And then if you look at these two gentlemen, John and Lucky, they both are starting their own businesses. And this is quite frightening. I'm not sure if there's any SARS people in the audience, but tax clearance certificates. So the first gentleman, he needs to drive from Konakatulo near Plet to George, drop his documents, drive back, 5 days later, drive again, and come back with the documents. And that trip costs you about 180 Rand one way. So you can do the math of how much, and he hasn't even started this business yet. So what it cost him. And then again, Zulani near Ashton, the nearest SARS there is Worcester. So the same, they have to pay 50 Rand there for a taxi and the same process. So again, why can't we have these services online? So as I mentioned, the Tucson centers, here's some of the services that they offer. And if you go onto their website, we won't really find it. It's under the About Us. But just some of the information, for example, grants, personal documents, housing applications. But the problem is, it's not an office that's permanently manned with people. They would say, for example, for social grants, we're going to be here the first Monday of every month. And then you get everybody queuing, long queues, and at least when you get to the queue now, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, to the front in the afternoon, then they say, oh, you don't have all your documents. You'll have to come back the next time. So a big lesson here is, what we as the Western Cape government can perhaps do is provide an online space to show you exactly what you need to apply for all of these things. And then not only, that's just one step. And I think a second step that we neglect all too often is the marketing of these services. So how would these people know that they can actually go to a site to find out what you need? And of course, the third more logical step is to provide these things online. Okay, if we look at Sandiswa, and we look a bit, he's a development manager. So he teaches computer literacy to the community. He teaches this e-learner ICDL courses. And one of the things he does, he helps his grandfather to apply for an old age grant. And his moral, or his story, he says, I want to help to improve the community. And then very interesting, if you look at languages, he says only 1% of my friends update their Facebook status in Xhosa. So why I say that, some of the research we are doing at the moment, our website is only in English, both the Western Cape Government and the Cape Access, is to find out, should we go about having the site in all 3 languages? So Afrikaans, Xhosa and English are the official languages of the Western Cape. So you can imagine the challenge the national government should have with 11 languages. But let's have a look at some of the Xhosa respondents there. We prefer an English website. Xhosa is very difficult to read. This gentleman here actually told me that he goes to church a lot and he hates it when his priests ask him to read the Xhosa Bible because it's so difficult. So what they are saying is that it's easy to converse in Xhosa, but to read it and write it is quite a different thing. And then there are different dialects. In Bongoletu, they say, we speak the Tsotsi taal. Our Xhosa is not the same as others. And others feel shy. And yeah, there's some more. Let me go to the next one. Then in Afrikaans, ons mense is Afrikaans, ons verwerp die Engelse goed vir al die ouerige mense. That basically means that the Afrikaans older people reject the English information. And here's a very nice one. Ons is outomaties gehardwire dat computers Engels is. Ons sê nie skootrekenaar nie, ons sê laptop. So that just also shows you how people are adopting to the international English language, for these computer phrases. So what we are basically saying, you can see I'm saying that it requires more collaboration, research and testing. But we see most people want to use the website in English, but say it's an option to have the language there for the elderly. But so what it basically says, we have to do the 3 languages. And if you know translators, that's also a very expensive exercise. And translating, for example, 100,000 pages, that's not going to fly. So we are busy with this whole beta site project. We are basically starting from scratch. We are using all our user research information and using the services that citizens want and to make it citizen-centric. And from there on, we want to build, a limited few pages that has the triangulism built in. Let's look at Asanda. He is a disabled person, blind person. Currently, he had a laptop with JAWS, a screen reader, but it broke. And now he goes to the Cape Access Centers, and we don't have the screen reader software there. So somebody helps him to type his CV, sends emails, and so on. So a lesson learned for us there is to provide screen readers at these centers. And we are now busy with research, for example, to go and chat to the guys there at the Worcester Blind School. I'm going to skip that video, but basically a little video where he says there at the end, the lady who helps him, he says, "She's my eyes, she's my eyes." If you look at school children, ladies and gentlemen, after 2 o'clock, you cannot be near these centers because the school children flood it. Both exciting, but also problematic if you think about it, that their schools don't have these computers, or they have computers and it's not used. But in any case, they come here, they do their homework and their research, play games, Facebook, and also a place to be social. Our young adults, so they come to these centers for career advice. What must I do after matric? They're looking for a list of bursaries and they want to know where they can study in the facilities or the vicinities. So this is also a lesson for us to include those 3 items on the website for them. Then, ladies and gentlemen, quickly, a few of our e-center staff members. So these are the people who provide the training, who, for example, helps the blind person to type his CV, who helps a normal person with no e-skills to type a CV and apply for a job. And then this program also helps them to find better jobs. For example, the lady on the far left there, over there, she worked there at Swellendam and got a big job now at Mosgas there near Mossel Bay. Quick few more results. Most of the people had smartphones. So if you look at that, very interesting. So I'm going to go back to this slide. Only a few participants had feature phones. And two of the participants, I asked them, why do you have a feature phone? They said, no, mine was stolen. My smartphone was stolen. That's the only reason why I have it. And only one participant of everybody said he'll stick to his feature phone because he only wants to SMS and make calls. So the question is, will we ever get those people to use online services? And I think there's a lot more research needed on that and how we convince people in that regard. Also, some people who had feature phones had a smartphone as well. So then I asked them the question, what phone are you going to buy next? And everybody said smartphones. Samsung and Nokia was the biggest answer, followed by BlackBerry and then iPhone. So why? Picture quality, bigger size, big screen, touch screen, Wi-Fi. And then importantly at the bottom, people are seeing that it's more affordable. They can actually afford these phones at the moment. So how did we also respond to this? This is our old, horrible Cape Access site. So we also now built a first for Western Cape Government a responsive website. Then, ladies and gentlemen, that is then hitting the end of our trip. And this is actually a sign that I got on the way from Worcester to Cape Town. If you can tell me which way Cape Town is, that would be great. Okay, so our next round of research, we're going to go up a bit onto the west coast, and I'll be having some krief. So in closing, the whole point is, if you look at everybody there, is for our websites to become user-centric. We need user research. And with that, we will improve our UX maturity levels in our organizations as well. So if you look at the Fager model, and you can take a moment and see where you are yourself in your company. There, one, UX is recognized, but it's not important. UX is not important. Level 2, UX is important, but receives little funding. 3, invested. UX is very important, and formalized programs start to emerge. So maybe now you have a UX team of 2 or 3 people. Then number 4, committed. UX is critical, and executives are actively involved. They get in there. And then 5 and 6, where we want to be. UX is one of the core tenets of the organization strategy. And 6, UX is in the fabric of the organization, not discussed separately. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with that. Thank you very much. And are there any questions?